Alright guys, today we're going to talk about the one word that will allow you to buy a lot of real estate with a little bit of money. And that word is leverage. The reason leverage is so powerful is that it allows your $10,000 to be $50,000, your $20,000 to be $100,000, and your $200,000 to be $1 million. And honestly, there's better margins than even that. But let's say for the sake of argument that I have $20,000 that I want to invest. And I'm going to earn a 10% return no matter what investment I put this into, which, stay with me, this is for example purposes. So let's just use the two most traditionally discussed investments, real estate, stock market. If I invest $20,000 in the stock market, if I invest $20,000 in the stock market and it earns 10% that year, then I made $2,000 in profit, which really isn't that bad. Granted, with stocks, you got to factor in the capital gains tax and all that, but still, $2,000 is $2,000. That's a better return than a lot of people get annually. But watch what happens if I invest $20,000 and I get a loan, leverage, and I buy a $100,000, we'll just say duplex, and we're just going to say it earns 10% return. We're not going to play the cash flow game and all that. Just 10% capital gains return. You sell it at the end of the year. All right, so I take my $20,000. It buys me a $100,000 house, which I'm an investor, not an artist. 10% return annually, $10,000. Now, if we just take the original amount of money that you invested, $20K, 10% return, $2,000. $20K, 10% return, $10,000. That's a 50% return on your money. That's awesome. And all that happened was your property went up 10%. So leverage is extremely powerful because it allows you to buy a huge asset but only pay a little bit for it. I know this sounds a little too good to be true, so let me just throw this out there that I recently bought a 10-unit apartment that's worth $240,000. I bought it for $212,500, and I only paid $10,900 down. Let me put that in perspective. I paid $11,000 for a $240,000 property. That in itself is awesome. I earn $800 a month, conservatively, to own that property. Every single year that I own that property, it's going to pay me what I put into it. That's 100% return of my money every single year. That's not factoring in appreciation, tax deductions, or anything else. That's simply me blowing my $10,000 to buy an asset that is worth 20 times, well, 21 times what I paid for it. Now imagine going to Apple and saying, hey, I want to buy 100 shares, but I'm only going to pay for 20 of them. Not going to happen. Banks won't lend on paper assets. If you find a bank to lend on a paper asset, great. But the reason they don't is because there's no collateral really for them to take the money back. Here, they've got the collateral, but at the end of the day, your property's rented, you're not at risk. The best part about this is that you can keep doing this. So if you sell this property and you make $40,000 in capital gains, now you have your original 20 plus 40,000, that's 60,000. You can turn around and buy a $300,000 property instead of a $100,000 property. This is a very real way to build your wealth. It is important to not over leverage, but we'll get into that later. The important thing to realize here is that there are ways to make your money stretch a lot farther than you think, which will open a lot more doors for you. The book that kind of opened my eyes to all of this is called The Book on Investing in Real Estate with No and Low Money Down. It's written by Brandon Turner of Bigger Pockets, and it talks about creative financing. Being creative in your financing just allows you to leverage your money even more. So for that 10 unit that I talked about, I only paid like 5.2% down. And the way I did that was 85% bank payment, 10% seller finance, so I'm paying them back at 4% interest, not amortized over 5 years. It's like $180 a month. And then the rest of the money was out of our pocket. However, we used a home equity line of credit, so realistically we bought the whole property without even seeing a dent in our bank account. Pretty sweet deal. Don't get it twisted, this isn't an assault on the stock market. This is just me pointing out that you can leverage your finances a little bit in real estate, which gives you an advantage as far as building your wealth. There are a lot of awesome opportunities out there for traders. In fact, one of my buddies is a day trader who does very well for himself. I just feel like day trading takes a little bit more time every day than I really care to put into it. This is kind of passive, and I can leverage my money. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something awesome about the word leverage. Start thinking creatively, because leveraging your finances is a wonderful way to build your wealth and then to be able to invest in bigger and better properties or businesses or stocks or cars or whatever you're into. Just remember to always try to leverage your money in a way that allows you the most purchasing power without overextending and taking on too much risk. Okay guys, I hope you learned something. Again, as always, if you like this video, and only if you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, follow, share, help us get the word out so that we can help create more military millionaires.